What is happening, YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Thank you for watching this YouTube channel. Again, my name is Matt. My company is called the DeRosa Group, and we are a real estate investment company. We're doing lots of cool projects, and you can check out those projects by going to DeRosaGroup.com and hearing what we're up to, or you can watch us highlight those projects right here on this YouTube channel through site walks. And you can also email questions you might have on real estate to helpme@DeRosaGroup.com. That is helpme@DeRosaGroup.com, and we will answer those questions right here on this YouTube channel for you and everyone else to learn from. So take a minute before we do this interview and subscribe to this channel. Click that button, because you'll hear about all the cool stuff we've got coming down the pipeline. So today I've got a fellow real estate investor, Willie Mandrell, and Willie's going to talk to us about an interesting topic, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to invest. You probably heard this, right? So we're sitting here in Trenton, New Jersey. Yeah. Willie's joining us from Boston. Okay, I came down to Trenton from Boston for this interview today. And what Willie and I were talking before the cameras came on is about investing in the Northeast. Now you've got a real estate group. You meet a lot of people in Boston, and I know people in the Northeast that refuse to invest in the Northeast. Like, no, I got to be in the Southeast. I got to be in the Southwest. I got to be, somewhere else. People investing in Puerto Rico, whatever, But,
no disrespect to anybody, but those are people that don't want to put in the work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. Their deals are not. You can't hop on MLS and just scroll down and pick out a multifamily, right? I mean,
you can't do that elsewhere too.
You can't do that.
Think you can.
You think you can, right?
Do that in the Southeast,
right,
or whatever. But
the price point's a little higher, and it can be a little intimidating to people. But there's still plenty of opportunity there. I mean, you have to put in. I do a lot of networking, a lot of shaking hands and talking to real estate agents and sending email and making phone calls and just telling people what I need and staying consistent with it over time. I'm doing a decent amount of volume now, but that wasn't always the case. It took 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the business before people start to remember the name and understand exactly what I'm looking for. And it took me some time to define my criteria for those investments as well, in terms of neighborhoods and property type and everything else.
So bottom line, I think is the big question here. There's people watching that are just here waiting on us to be like, no, you can't. The question is, can you make money investing in the Northeast?
Absolutely.
You think the answer is yes?
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, that's my personal opinion. We do nothing but the bigger pockets BRRRR strategy. Yeah. Very appropriate for the cold Northeast of Boston.
Yeah, right. This time we're filming in February.
Exactly. Right. Very cold. Yeah. But that's all we do. We find distressed situations or distressed properties. Put some money into them, and the values are always there. So
let me bring it all the way back, right? Because some people are going to say, well, Willie and Matt, I bet you could, air quote, figure it out to invest in Boston, or to invest in, let's go even towards the center of the universe, to invest in Brooklyn, or to invest in the Bronx, or, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm being the contrarian voice. They may believe that it's easier and simpler, and there's more upside to invest in the Southeast or to invest somewhere else. Why is it a good reason to invest in the Northeast? What does the Northeast have to offer? I know you know Boston very well, so we can speak about Boston specifically, or just the Northeast in general. Why is the Northeast still a good place to invest?
I think it's hard. The barrier to entry is, I think, a little bit higher, so people are intimidated by that. But for the same, I don't have to do as much volume in Boston. People look at me and they're like, oh, well, how many units do you own? 30 or 40 or something like that. Well, I mean, in some respects, that's equivalent to 100 units in other places, right? Yep. So my cash flow numbers are higher, my rents are higher, the equity that we're able to create within these BRRRR strategies is much higher. So to answer your question, I think that people get in the Northeast and other parts of the country because the price point is a little lower. It's a little bit less intimidating. They feel like if I lose, if I'm learning, at least it's not with $1 million property. So I think it's the fear that they get. Yeah. But I think there's still, like I said, a great opportunity. You get in, and you just have to do a lot less transactions. When we find a good one, it makes our year. A good 2 deals in Boston, that's a solid year. Whereas you might have to do 10 or 15 deals to have a solid year elsewhere.
You got to try and buy a 30 unit in the Southeast, and then hope that it does well. Whereas a duplex or a triplex in Boston could absolutely absolutely, change your, they could change your income drastically.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. Because I've said that people have said this to me. We're sitting here in New Jersey, and my guess is the real estate taxes in Boston are just as high, if not higher, than what the taxes are here. And I'm like, well, how do you invest in such a high tax environment? My answer to them is, listen, a rising tide raises all boats. And I do own property in the Southeast, and like, let's say a 1-bedroom in North Carolina might rent for like $5.25, $5.75, somewhere in there, right? My 1-bedrooms here in New Jersey, I mean, this is in like, D and C class neighborhoods in Trenton, New Jersey, are renting for $850, $900, right? What's are you B class landlord, A class?
No, we're in I would say C neighborhoods.
Okay. What's a C 1-bedroom in your area? $1,900. Yeah. Compare that, guys. Think about that for a second. And I guarantee not all that's getting consumed by expenses and everything like that. The tide is all the way up here, right? The wages are higher in the Northeast. That enables people to pay, Willie's rent, more, just as much as they can pay my rents in North Carolina, right? And I have to own 4 units to cover that 1-bedroom, that 1 unit. So you have 30 units. You'd have to have 120 to cover that rent roll in North Carolina.
Right, and
there's a good reason right there.
Yeah, we try to stay right in that 3-bedroom. That's the sweet spot. The 3-bedroom range. 3 bedrooms are 2,500 to 2,800. In those C neighborhoods, and we buy a lot of the 3 families. So you're collecting 7,500 to $8,000, and that's covering typically all your expenses. You probably put a couple $1,000 in your pocket every month.
Yeah, so, there you go.
And that's from one building. I mean, you do 5 or 6 of those throughout your career, and you're doing all right. You can live pretty comfortably.
Yeah, you're doing all right. Okay, so going back to what you had said about creating value through a BRRRR deal, let's talk through the numbers on a typical, on like a Northeastern. I can't say Northeast because you're not investing all the way across Northeastern Boston. So what's a typical, like, what are you buying a property that's under distress, in need of renovation? What are you buying it for? What's your investment look like? And then what's the evaluation on the back end?
Sure.
Talk us through a typical deal.
Yeah, sure. The Northeast, and the Northeast, you have me saying the Northeast now, but Boston, it's almost impossible by a single family that cash flows. I hear it all the time. People be single family rentals, we just can't do it. 2 families, I know people that are doing it, but it's more of a house hacking, live-in strategy. It just doesn't work from a full-time investor standpoint. Our sweet spot is that 3 family. People say, well, why don't you do 4s? 4s in Boston tend to be the smaller bedroom count, right? So you get 4 units, but you only have 1 bedroom. So 3 family is right in that sweet spot where you can find 3 units and they're all 3 bedrooms where you want to be. So our typical deal is that 3 family. I try to buy them somewhere between $550 and $650, depending on the amount of work they need.
For one triplex. $550 to $350. You've knocked a ton of your competition out the box already. Right. With that price point. Keep going.
So we're probably putting about $200 to $250 into them, depending on the need, and the after repair value is somewhere just north of $1 million.
Right. Okay. So you're able to refi, pull all that back out, and then you're making several thousand a month in cash flow per property. Right. So that's what's interesting, guys, because what you got to realize is higher price points per door tend to scare people out, and people get attracted to, I can buy, and I'm subject to this. I can buy we bought an apartment building in Kentucky for $30,000 a door, right? $30,000 a unit. Now I'm not getting $1,900 for a 1-bedroom, right? I wish I was, but for $30,000 a door, you're likely getting $500 to $600 for a 1-bedroom, right? So,
and I would encourage people, your listeners and followers, that and we hear it a lot. And again, I love Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets was the where I got the BRRRR strategy from, and it's changed my life. What I hear often is that people, especially younger investors and newer investors, they think unit count is everything, right? Doors. I own 200 doors, or I can't wait to get to 200 doors. Well, if you're cash flowing $10 a door, it makes no difference, right? I mean, it makes no difference how many doors you got. So I would really encourage people to look at their return on investment, look at their cash flow, and focus on those numbers. And then if you do that, then you'll see that places like Boston make sense still. deal as well. You know?
Yeah, or I think that too many people turn their back on investing in their own backyard. Even people that are in like I hear people like San Diego that are like, oh no, you can't invest here. And it's, first of all, it's easy to say that because then it takes their work off of their plate, and there is a certain level of gratification that people get by blaming their inaction on things that are outside of their control. They can say, well, things are too high here, so I can't invest in Boston. I can't invest in New England or wherever it is I live. I can't invest there, because things are too high, or because it's too difficult, or because the regulations are there, or because real estate taxes, or whatever it is. But it's actually more difficult to actually do a little bit of digging and do what Willie's doing, which actually, I mean, he's got a way higher barrier to entry. But look at what the deals are producing.
Right. At the end of the day, it's just putting in that work. And again, if you're new, you have to put in the time. It doesn't, like I said, I'm 13 years deep into this business, and it's like, I flew here, and I, while I was on the plane, I realized that it's a lot like being on the plane. You start off on the runway, and it takes a lot of thrust and everything to get off the ground, and then all of a sudden we go from 10,000 feet to 30,000 feet just like that, and that's just the way. The same thing with the real estate investing.
Getting off the ground is the hard part.
It's tough. It takes a lot of force, a lot of grit, a lot of grind. But once you're in the air, it just you don't even know the difference between 10,000 and 30,000 feet. You're just you're just floating.
What are a few tips that you got for people that are either just getting started in their own markets, whether it's Boston or not? But I mean, and we can keep the Northeast in the conversation, but really just for people that are looking to get started and are telling themselves that where they live is not a good place to invest because of the price point barrier to entry. What are some tips you have?
I think you can invest anywhere. I think you can invest and make things happen anywhere. I think at the end of the day, we live in a society where everybody wants instant gratification. They want, I read your book, man, I want to invest tomorrow, and if I'm not a millionaire by next week, then I want out of the game and I'm going to go do something else now.
I think jumping out of their jobs and trying to get an apartment building. Yeah, the apartment building space that I'm in is so crowded right now by people that think that they're going to just go and buy a deal or two, quit their job, move to Tahiti, fire movement, the whole thing and all that, and they're going to just do a deal and then walk away. Yeah, it's not true.
Yeah, you have a brand, you have a name, you've put in the time and the work, and that's the same thing I'm trying to do in Boston, is continue to build that brand, and that's when it starts to happen. When people recognize your name, being in the business year after year, they know that when you're presented with a deal that you'll actually close on it, that you can perform. It's your track record. It's when people hear your name over and over again, and you actually get things done. That snowball effect, that airplane effect starts to take hold.
One last thing I want to throw out there is that I know you have your own real estate group, like a RIA, up in Boston. I had one down here in Princeton a while ago, and then I ended up handing the reins over to Justin Fraser, who's now running that for us. In that, so I get the value of it. But for folks that are watching that might not realize this, what's the value in having your own real estate club that people are a member of?
Oh, it's been incredible. So I consider myself what some others would probably consider an introvert, right? I'm not the guy that's going to walk up into a room and just start shaking hands and say, hey, my name's Willie. But so I used to go to meetups groups all the time and networking groups all the time, and I noticed that the person who was the organizer, the founder, always had people coming up to them. So I said, let me reverse the equation, and let me start my own meetup group. And
put myself in front of the room.
It's worked wonders.
Put myself in the front of the room. Here's the thing: it's the attention, it goes to the front of the room. Right. That's just where it goes. Right. And so if you've got even if you don't have the best public speaking skills, believe me, most people I know that are good public speakers were not born good public speakers. I was not a good public speaker, believe it or not. I'm really good at it now because I do it all the time. Same with you, right? Were you a good public speaker when you first started?
I remember that first meetup. That first meetup was awful.
I know.
I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't say it. I remember an older gentleman in the crowd got up and just basically took over for me and just literally I
got this one, young man.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But the thing about it is I didn't walk away from it. I didn't say, hey, this is not for me. I just kept doing it and over and over. And at the end of the day, you realize that you don't have to be a great speaker. You don't have to have all the fancy words and big. People just want to. This business is simple. It's income and expenses. It's rent and mortgage payments. There's not much to it. And if you can, at the end of the day, I think passion is more important than the big words.
You love what you do.
You have to love what you do. When people see that energy, they understand, what you're trying to do. They are attracted to that. And like I said, you'll win from there.
So at the end of the day, to bring it home for you guys, if there's not a RIA, and I've talked to many people that are like, oh, I'm in, XYZ town, and we kind of live right in the middle of nowhere, and then there's a lot of rental properties, but nobody's running a RIA.
Right.
Well, man, open up a RIA. If there's nobody if there's nobody owning a conversation in your backyard that you would go to, then create a meeting that you would go to. That's designed for yourself. Like, hey, listen, I would go to that meeting, so I'll put it on. Right.
I would piggyback one thing on that though. Do not call it Boston Meetup for real estate agents. Give it some pizzazz.
Yeah,
give it some sales.
Give it some sauce.
Some sales.
Right.
So Boston Wealth Builders. The reason Boston Wealth Builders.
I want to come to that. Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I love that. People start
meetup groups all the time, and they say, real estate investor meetup. That's not sexy. That's not.
No.
I'm not coming to that. Right. You want to create a niche for yourself. Don't be afraid to define who that group of people that you are. It might be, I have no idea, but Boston Farmers meetup or Boston Farmers real estate investor or whatever it may be. Define that group more specifically than just a general base. People are so afraid of, I don't want to exclude anybody, or I don't want people to not come. People want to be part of a tighter community, something that really defines who they are at the end of the day.
No, I agree. So give it a great name. Build something that you would go to yourself.
Right.
That speaks to you, because there's more yous out there than you think that there are. Right. And also, a big thing I got from Willie is that wherever you live, whether that's San Francisco, San Diego, Boston, Lower Manhattan, whatever it is, there is a way to make real estate investing work. If you're telling yourself that real estate investing will not work where you are, that's a great excuse, and it enables you to do something awesome, which is to not take action. It's way more courageous to figure it out on how to do it where you live. And if you truly can't figure it out where you live, it's okay. You can do what I do, which is buy properties out of my own trading area, but I still do deals in my own backyard, just so you know. But we also do deals remotely too. And that it's not that I'm afraid of my backyard. We do both. So this is some great take homes, Willie. So if people want to hear more, let's say Boston residents watching this, they want to pick your brain, they want to debate with you on why the Southeast is better, whatever it is, however they want to hit you up, right?
No, I'd love to have that conversation.
I know you would. I did. You seem like you'd actually be good at it. So tell folks how they get a hold of you.
Sure. A couple different things. My main website, or my company website, is Mandrellco. It's MANDRELLCO.com, or mandrellco.com. And if you go to mandrellco.com/coaching, all of your listeners or followers, I'm going to give them a 30-minute free coaching call. We can hop on. We can discuss, whether you live in Boston or you live in other parts of the country. I'm doing coaching for people just looking to build a portfolio, looking to get into the business, looking to just have a sounding board, somebody to kind of, spitball things off of different ideas. And then if you're in the Northeast, or if you're in Boston and you'd like to stop by, our meetup group is completely free. It's bostonwealthbuilders.com. You go there, you sign up, you upload a picture and answer a couple questions, and you're in there.
Cool. There you go. So that's where you guys want to go. Keep an eye on Willie. He's doing some great stuff up in Boston, and thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you having me.
You really showed us that real estate investing works in a lot of
different
markets.
Go get this book. That's quality.
Raising Private Capital. Thank you. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great, profitable week.